Welcome to the TV Street Detective channel. Here we update cases that shock the world. Cyanide. Just hearing the name is enough to make many shudder. This is a poison so lethal that once it enters the body, no one can escape death's grip, striking in the blink of an eye. Cyanide poisoning cases aren't just tragic for the victims. They present an immense challenge for investigators in their pursuit of these hidden killers, those who lurk in the shadows with deadly motives. Today, take a few moments to slow down and focus with us as we turn back the clock, uncovering each mystery and chilling detail behind one of the most terrifying criminal cases in the history of Vietnamese justice. Le Tan Van, December 5th, 1956, October 26th, 2005. Known by the nicknames Cyanide Witch, Cyanide Killer, Poison Killer, was a Vietnamese serial killer using poison and the first female serial killer in the history of this country. From 1998 to 2001, she used cyanide to kill 13 people, including those who had close family relations with her. Le Tan Van is also believed to be involved in a number of other murders, as the number of victims who died at her hands is estimated to be larger than the initial figure. Coming from a family of 8 siblings, Le Tan Van showed a stubborn and aggressive nature from an early age. She studied at a military medical school before crossing the border and being arrested. After being released from prison, she wandered around with various jobs and got involved in several scams that landed her in prison again. Van gained the trust of her victims by tricking them into helping them, then killed them to take their property and pretended to take them to the hospital to avoid suspicion. Van's accomplice was Du Dan Quang, her lover who lived with her and participated in several murders. Before living together with Quang, she had 2 husbands, Nguyen Quang Mei and Le Van Minh. Le Tan Van was first arrested after the first murder in July 2000, but was quickly released due to lack of evidence. While on bail, she continued to cause the deaths of 4 more people, before being arrested again on October 15, 2001. Initially at the investigation agency, Van denied all accusations before confessing to her crimes. She was sentenced to death for 3 crimes: murder, robbery, and illegal possession of toxic substances, and was executed by firing squad at the cemetery of Thu Dao Mot Town, Binh Duong Province at the end of October 2005. Van's name is listed in several encyclopedias of serial killers in the world. Early years. Le Tan Van was born on December 5th, 1956 in Saigon in a family of 8 children. Because her eldest brother died early, Van became the eldest sister in the family. From a young age, she showed her eccentric, cold, stubborn and rebellious nature. Van studied until grade 12 and then dropped out of school. After 1975, she entered the military dental school before organising to escape abroad. She was arrested and sentenced to 16 months in re-education camp for complicity in organising. After being released from prison, she worked many different jobs to make a living. 1. In December 1979, Le Tan Van was arrested by the police of District 10, Ho Chi Minh City, for impersonating an army captain to commit fraud. Then, in March 1990, she was arrested by the police of District 5 for forging ranks, positions, certificates, documents, and fraudulently appropriating citizens' property, and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. On May 17, 1993, Van was sentenced to 4 years in prison for fraud. Notably, the victim in this case, Miss Bui Chung and her family, had to be hospitalized after eating chicken noodles on October 24, 1992. Chung died in the hospital after being cared for by Van. After the incident, Chung's family accused Van of fraud and poisoning her to death. The autopsy results performed by Cho Ray Hospital also showed that the victim died of poisoning. But due to insufficient evidence, the court only convicted Van of fraud. During this time, Van married 2 men. The first was Mr. Nguyen Quang Mei. The 2 married in 1984 and had 2 children together. After Mr. Mi died in 1989, in 1991, she remarried Mr. Le Van Minh, and in 1992, Mr. Min suddenly passed away, At Nguyen Tri Puang Hospital. Crime Journey. The First Murders. At the end of 1997, when Mr. Din Van Kam visited a relative who was being treated at Military Hospital 7A, Ho Chi Minh City, he got to know Latan Van, who was being treated in the bed next to him. After chatting, Van claimed to be a dentist who had studied in Germany and knew 7 languages. Mr. Kam then invited Van to work at his family's Dai Kak Dental Clinic, located in Long Khan District, Dong Nai. At this dental clinic, she met, became close friends with, and lived together as husband and wife with Diu Dong Quang. Because of business difficulties, Din Van Kam's mother, Miss Vo Thi Lee, intended to let Diu Dong Quang quit her job. Knowing this truth, on January 3rd, 1998, while Kam was away from home, Van secretly put cyanide in Miss Lai's glass of lemonade. After 30 minutes, the poison took effect and Miss Lee collapsed. Van and Quang then took Miss Lai to the emergency room, but she did not survive. When she returned to the clinic, Van stole 900,000 VND from Miss Lee. On June 2nd, 1998, Latan Van committed the second murder. The victim was Mr. Quach Cam Min, a security guard at Tien Phu Company, Tan Bin District, who rented her a dental facility for 500,000 VND month. After being poisoned in alcohol, Mr. Min showed signs of poisoning and was taken to the Tan Bin District Medical Center for emergency treatment, but died later. Van then returned home, searched the cabinet and stole 900,000 VND from Mr. Min. 1 month after the death Min, Latan Van continued to put poison in the teacup of Mrs. Hin Van Din, mother of Diu Dong Quang, and then took 2.8 million VND from her. On February 24, 1999, Van continued to poison her brother-in-law, Le Van Cam. Due to a previous conflict, after being asked by Mr. Cam to inject painkillers into his broken finger, Van mixed cyanide into the medicine and murdered him. In the afternoon of the same day, Cam died at Gia Din People's Hospital. After killing Cam, she continued to impersonate a doctor who had just returned from studying in Germany to deceive Ho Thi Mong Dao, promising to help her find a job. While taking Miss Dao to get a health checkup, the two stopped at a roadside noodle shop for lunch. Here, Van put poison in the bowl of noodles, causing Miss Dao to be poisoned and had to be taken to the Ho Chi Minh City Eye Hospital for emergency treatment. At the hospital, Miss Dao gradually regained consciousness due to timely emergency treatment. However, that night, Van continued to poison Miss Dao once again, causing her death. In the same year, she continued to kill Vo Hu Kiem, director of Nu Quan Company, with the intention of taking his motorbike. Series of murders and temporary detention. In 2000, Latan Van impersonated Li Li Lan, approached Mr. Nguyen Tan Soon, residing in An Lin Commune, Pujiao District, Bin Doong Province. During her stay, Van cooked noodles for Mr. Sun, causing him to be poisoned and die on April 14th. At the end of June 2000, Mr. Nguyen Van Dong and Miss Tran Tay Shin, residing in Bin Duong, died of poisoning and were related to Latan Van. After Miss Shin died, she also gave her relatives a handwritten note stating that Miss Shin had sold her a passenger car with license plate number 53 L3259 for 200 million VND. In July 2000, the Police Investigation Agency arrested Latan Van on suspicion of her involvement in murder and robbery. When searching Van's handbag, the police also discovered 2.8 grams of cyanide. However, due to lack of strong evidence, the police used the reason of investigating fraud and appropriation of property to temporarily detain him. The investigation agency then compared the sample of the poison collected from Van with the internal organs of Mr. Dong and Miss Shin, but they did not match. On January 15, 2001, Latan Van was released on bail. On bail, continued the series of murders and was arrested for the second time. In March 2001, Latan Van met an old friend, Nguyen Trong Tzu. Tzu took Van to a coffee shop and ordered 2 bottles of soy milk. While Mr. Dudzu was resetting his motorbike, Van put poison in his glass of milk. After 15 minutes, Mr. Dezou showed signs of poisoning and was taken to the emergency room. Taking advantage of the situation, Van stole 74,000 VND and a mobile phone from Mr. Dezou. Mr. Dezou died in the hospital 5 hours later, with the conclusion that he had suffered a stroke. Van then asked the funeral home to inflate the funeral expenses so that Mr. Dezou's son could pay her back, but her plan failed. She then pawned Mr. Dezou's motorbike for 2.8 million VND. After killing Mr. Dezou, Latan Van continued to poison to death Miss Dao Tico, who was then temporarily residing in Trung Bom, Dong Nai. After giving Miss Ko 5 taels of gold to help her forge a dental practice certificate but failed, she killed her and took possession of the dental filling machine. From June to August 2001, Latan Van continued her series of murders, starting with Mr. Tran Van Khoi. After killing Tran Van Khoi, Van took his motorbike, then committed the murder of V Tai Tan, and used Khoi's stolen motorbike to take Tan to the hospital for emergency treatment. After Tan died, Van made a fake transfer paper using the fake name Lam Aunt Dao, with the purpose of taking possession of the victim's clothing store. In addition to the clothing store transfer paper, she also made another fake transfer paper stating that Tan had sold her a piece of land in Budang, Bin Puok, for 40 million VND. During her time on bail, the Investigation Police Agency of Bin Duong Province secretly investigated the murder and robbery of Latan Van without the defendant present. During this time, the police agency invited her to assist in the investigation many times, but was ignored. Therefore, the investigation agency found it necessary to apply preventive measures to prevent Van from continuing to commit crimes. On July 17, 2001, the police decided to merge the criminal case of illegal possession of toxic substances into the case of murder and robbery against Latan Van. On August 14, 2001, the police initiated a prosecution against Van for illegal possession of toxic substances and issued an order to temporarily detain her. After the arrest warrant was approved by the People's Procuracy of Bin Duong Province on October 9, 2001, on October 15th of the same month, Van was arrested in Duc Lue Commune, Budang District, Bin Puok Province. Investigation. In early July 2002, Lieutenant Colonel Nguyen The Bin, Deputy Chief of the Investigation Police, Ministry of Public Security, signed a decision to assign investigators Deng Van Chin, Nguyen Din Bang, Nguyen Than Bin, Din Jia, the investigator Nguyen Xuan Hao of the Bin Duong Provincial Police, and investigators in 3 provinces and cities, Ho Chi Minh City, Bin Puok, Dong Nai, and Bin Duong Nai, cooperated with the investigation. The case required that in addition to investigating Latan Van, the role of Du Dan Quang be clarified. On August 14, 2002, Du Dan Quang was arrested and prosecuted for concealing a crime. On January 7, 2003, the Investigation Police Agency, Ministry of Public Security, organised a preliminary review of the investigation of the case, and at the same time provided details to assess whether Latan Van caused the deaths of the victims related to her. At that time, the body of the victim Tran Van Khoi had not yet been found, and there were too few witnesses. During this time, Van intentionally pretended to be sick to avoid working with the investigation agency. Therefore, in order to avoid distracting Latan Van, the investigator decided to initially only work with her on the murder of V.T. Tan. Finally, a month after being moved to a new detention facility, she confessed that she was the one who poisoned V.T. Tan to death. After confessing to being the perpetrator of Miss Tan's death, Van continued to confess to being the perpetrator in the murders of Miss Shin, Mr. Dong, Miss Ko, Mr. Dezou, and Mr. Khoi. On April 25, 2003, Van wrote a confession of murder, stating, "If they all harm me, then I am stressed." She then wrote another confession, but the reason for committing the crime was difficult circumstances. In July 2003, Latan Van continued to confess to being the perpetrator in 7 other murders, bringing the total number of deaths at her hands to 13. In addition to those who have been identified, Thanh Van is also suspected of being the perpetrator in 8 other murders, of which 16 showed signs of being poisoned. Of these people, 3 died and 13 were saved. However, the investigation agency did not have enough basis to conclude that she was the one who killed these people. Regarding the origin of the poison, cyanide, Van said she bought it at a chemical store on Thanh Tan Street, District 10, Ho Chi Minh City. The trial. The first instance trial was held at the People's Court of Binh Duong Province on August 25, 2001. This was the first time in the history of Vietnamese justice that a defendant was prosecuted for killing 13 people. International media commented that this could be the first trial in Vietnam to try a serial killer. Thanh Van was accused of killing 13 people, including some family members, with cyanide within 4 years, from 1998 to 2001. At the trial, Van repeatedly asserted her innocence, claiming that she was the one who happened to be present at the scene to take the victims to the emergency room. When the procuracy announced Van's testimony at the investigation agency earlier, she claimed that she was forced to confess. On August 28th, Van fainted in court, causing the trial to be postponed. However, on August 30th, the doctor concluded that she fainted due to psychological problems. On August 31st, the representative of the procuracy proposed the death penalty for Thanh Van for 3 crimes of murder, robbery, and illegal possession of toxic substances, while her lover, Du Dan Quang, was sentenced to 24 years in prison for 2 crimes of murder and robbery. After the first instance trial, the People's Court of Binh Duong Province sentenced Thanh Van to death and his accomplice Du Dan Quang to 21 years in prison. The court concluded that Van was the perpetrator of killing 13 people with cyanide, while Quang played a supporting role in Van's murder of Tran Van Khoi. After the first instance trial, Thanh Van and Du Dan Quang appealed to the People's Court of Binh Duong Province to review the case. While Van claimed that she was wronged, Quang asked for a lighter sentence. 29. 30. The appeal hearing took place on February 1st, 2005, with Thanh Van only admitting to the crime of illegal possession of toxic substances and claiming innocence for the 2 crimes of murder and robbery. The result of the appeal hearing was to uphold the sentence for Thanh Van, reducing the sentence from 21 years to 17 years for Du Dan Quang. After the appeal hearing, Thanh Van submitted a petition for clemency to the President of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, but this request was rejected. Death. On October 26, 2005, Thanh Van was executed by firing squad at the cemetery of Tu Dao Mot Town. According to Nguyen Dong, one of the members of the Binh Duong Province Execution Council, when Van was escorted out of her cell to serve her sentence, she cursed and fought back, then burst into tears when she heard the president's decision to reject her clemency petition. Van was also prepared with her last meal, but she did not eat it. Before she died, Van wishes to remove her blindfold to see her loved ones and the outside world one last time. Review. Thanh Van is believed to be the first female serial killer in Vietnamese history. According to Toi Tre newspaper, Thanh Van's killing style is classified as a serial killer by the US Federal Bureau of Investigation because she killed selectively over many years. An anonymous journalist commenting for Toi Tre newspaper admitted that Thanh Van's use of poison to kill people for the purpose of robbery is very rare. This journalist believes that her unstable childhood life and psychology, having to go to prison for child crimes, all of these are the reasons that led to Van's serial murder. Psychologist Don Van Bao linked Van's murder with the murder of Ho La Dan Coa in Tu Thua, Long An, and the serial murder in Perpignan, France, and from there, he argued that studying the psychology of the perpetrator is very important in investigating serial murders. Evaluating Van's murder method, author Michael Farrell, in the book Criminology of Serial Poisoners, commented that Van's motive for killing for money, along with her repeated actions of bringing poisoned victims to the hospital, was not a safe option and could arouse suspicion. However, By committing the crimes in different places, she reduced the possibility that the authorities could investigate the crime if they did not link the cases together. Deputy Head of the Investigation Police Agency, Ministry of Public Security, Nguyen. The Bin said that it is necessary to draw 4 lessons from the mass murder of Le Tan Van, which are: first, people need to be vigilant when strangers proactively approach them and invite them to eat and drink. Second, the investigation agency must have a plan to closely monitor and supervise the suspect. Third, it is necessary to apply advanced techniques and technologies to the investigation process. Fourth, the state needs to have strict measures to manage toxic substances. In Vietnam, Le Tan Van was nicknamed Cyanide Killer, Cyanide Witch, Poison Killer by state media. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button to get the latest videos. Like and share with more people. Comment your thoughts, comments, or suggestions to help us improve. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel to explore shocking true crime stories, unsolved mysteries, and secrets yet to be uncovered. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos. Your support means everything to us and helps us continue bringing exciting, high-quality content. Thank you for joining us on this journey.